You know, obviously, I want us to be good, but I want to be the number one starter.
Hello and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we always have something to say about the Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, we have, yet again, another, literally another elite Blue Jays prospect on the show. We have Adam, and I feel like I'm going to butcher his last name, and my first question is I'm going to ask him about it. Kloffenstein?
Kloffenstein, I thought.
Kloffenstein? Okay, we're gonna ask him. So it's definitely a mouthful. But this guy is one of our pitching prospects, and we have him on the show today to talk to him about what it's like being a Blue Jay. So we're really excited about that, guys. Before we get into it, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell. You know the drill.
Yeah, we're going to call him up in just a moment. We have him on FaceTime, so we'll do a little split screen action, get you viewing Adam Kloffenstein, I hope.
We're going to find out. That's question number one. Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Yo.
Hey, how's it going, Adam?
Yo, what's up?
Hello, my friend. So we are now recording on all ends. Before we get into anything, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be on the show with us. It is our pleasure.
I appreciate that. It's my pleasure. I'm happy to do it. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. And we actually were just doing our intro, and we wanted to get a clarification just for everyone out there. The pronunciation of your last name.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so here, I'm going to tell you what I did, and he'll tell you what he did.
Yeah.
I went Adam Kloffenstein.
Adam Kloffenstein?
Yeah, and you went Adam Kloffenstein. Where are we at?
Where are we at? What are we feeling?
It's Steen.
Yeah!
So it's Kloffenstein, and it does look like Stein. Like every other word that has that in it would be like ein at the end. You know, my dad, and obviously it comes from my dad. We've actually talked about it before.
Yeah.
And because 99.9% of people say Stein, and I mean that's just how I grew up, and and I'm like, Dad, like everybody says it this way.
Just like, Dad, can we just make it Kloffenstein?
I like Steen better. I feel like Stein is like extraordinarily German.
Oh yeah.
So I like Steen better. I just tell people to say it like there's two E's instead of an E and an I. But it's very common, and either works. Like I know who you're talking about.
You're not like, excuse me, who?
There's actually like not another one in like the whole North America. So like there's a PH, like a KLO PH. There's like one or two of those in California, I think. But everybody that I come from, I guess, is overseas. So
that's actually super funny, dude, because I'm the exact same way. Like my last name, there is no one else in North America who has my last name, and everyone butchers it. But it's kind of a guilty pleasure because then you can go, like, people are just like, how do you say your last name? And I'm give it a shot. Give it a try. And they always butcher it, bro, and it's great. So
yeah, mine is like, the front is very, it's just like it looks.
Pretty clear cut.
The Stein and the Steen. And then so in my whole sports life, I've been Kloff. Like junior high on up, I've been Kloff. So, that's why, autograph is cut in half.
Hence the shirt.
Everybody, like if my autograph was, it'd be like, there's
you need some small print, bro.
Right, but like on the back of my jersey, it looks funny. But it really is, it is funny to hear like some of the way people, because it's real like, people are like, well, how do you spell that? And I'm like, man, like you can get pretty close, like just from listening to it. Kloffenstein, like it's long. But it's not like it's not like a really horrible spelling,
scrambles the average mind.
It's definitely Kloff is. The only people that really, there's not very many people in my life that call me Adam on a regular basis.
Right.
In sports, it's Kloff or bro or
bro
Adam or yours. So like it's funny to hear somebody actually say my name sometimes because I'm like, that don't normally hear that. Like my parents normally say, son or hey, get your ass in here.
All right. Well, for this interview, I'll call you bro. It rolls off the tongue.
I don't know, man. Okay, like you call him bro. I think I kind of want to go with Kloff, and I was, even as you were saying that, I'm just like, I haven't made like a contact info in my phone yet, but it will 1000% be Kloff.
It's dangerous.
It's like a short, it's a nickname, but it's like how many people in your, it's like you might have 4 AJs, but like how many Kloffs do you have?
Yeah.
And funny thing is, like people that I've never met like teammates that I've never met will be calling me Kloff within like 10 minutes. Like it's like it just happens. Like I don't tell people like, hey, call me Kloff. They're just like, man, this thing's way too long. I'm going to call you Kloff. And I'm like, well, everyone else calls me that, so go for it.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's just like a sport common thing. We just like, let's just get it quick.
Yeah.
Like one of the J's already is Teoscar Hernandez. Like we just Tio. It's Tio, like that's it, man.
Like even Grosjean's last name is not that bad. Everyone calls him Grosh.
Grosh, yeah. Simple. Speaking of Groshans, we were doing our research, and funny enough, we literally just had an interview with this guy 2 days ago.
Yeah, man.
Like, literally. And then when we were doing our research, I saw that you guys went to the same high school, and you both got drafted by the Jays.
That is pretty fucked up,
That's pretty crazy, man.
That is, like, just the odds of that actually happening is, like, pretty messed up.
It's actually pretty... It's pretty interesting. We actually have talked about before, like kind of I don't really know how you go about it, but like almost researching the odds of it. Like,
right.
Like doing like some sort of math on how, like, because it's got to be like, you got a lot better chances of a lot of other things happening,
Well, let's break it down. So not only did you guys both get drafted to like literally major league teams, so that's a big thing in itself. In the same year to the same team, and you guys literally went to the same high school. Like, that is fucked up. Like, I don't even know what that would be.
Like, what? Like, I was trying to speculate, like, how many scouts? Was it just the Jays? Like, all the Jays scouts came to your high school? Like, what?
It's actually funny. I don't know if he touched on it, but it's, our senior year was very packed with scouts. We had... so much to the point where I'm still friends with a handful of them, that, they don't even work for the Jays, they're with other teams or whatever. But there would be, especially at the beginning of the year, we would have a dozen scouts just to watch Jordan hit BP in practice on like a Wednesday.
Wow, man.
Which I also hit then, and I also kept up with Jordan and BP.
Hey.
So that was like, it was good for me too, because it kind of showed some of the athleticism, and obviously they're not like, hey, well, maybe this guy can hit the big leagues, but they're like, well, this guy can, if a ground ball comes to him, he's not gonna trip over his own cleats,
right.
And I was actually protecting Jordan all year, so I hit behind Jordan in the lineup all year. We were both tied with 10 homers going into the playoffs.
Nice.
He hit 2 homers in playoffs, and I didn't hit any, so he ended up beating me in that. He had me by a couple points in average, couple less strikeouts, couple more walks, like just a little bit better than me in most of the categories. But we tied in RBIs, and we led the state in RBIs.
Wow. So were you considered a hitter at all coming into the draft, or was it just strictly pitching?
No, I think it was because, like, just my build and, like, I was doing so well on the mound that I think that, like, they see this big, like, pitcher's body hitting, and they're like, okay, well, yeah, everybody can hit in high school. Like, we'll move on from that.
Yeah,
right.
But I do think it helped me in the long run. Them getting to see that. The funny thing, you talk about the Jays being at the games. The Jays for either of us were like not even in our top 15. Like, I didn't even know, like, the Jays were not really in the discussion. When you go into the draft, especially in higher rounds, you have like your top 3 or your top 5. That you're like, well, I think I'm gonna fall in this area, and the Braves have 2 picks in this area, and I know they really like me, so it could be the Braves or whatever. Or guys are calling your agent and that kind of stuff. And the Blue Jays were just kind of like, yeah, we really like him. We'll see what happens.
Right.
That's like pretty much it. Then after Jordan got drafted, he called me, like right then, like the next, like within seconds.
Yeah.
And was like, yo, I just got off the phone with them, and they're coming for you now. And I was like,
wow.
I was like, all right. I was like, well, they're gonna have to pay up. I was like, I know that, where I wanted to be was in that first day, like financial situation, and I, I'm like that, cause at the time when Jordan and I got drafted by the Jays, they're really not competitive, like don't really have like a great fan base, but kind of an annoyed fan base. Like,
oh man,
it's just
believe us.
It was just kind of like it was lining up for like they could do this. Not necessarily that they don't think that we're both have potential, but it's like they could be willing to pass on maybe someone who they think's a touch better than me or touch better than Jordan because they want to slam that duo and kind of like get some publicity around it, like, get some fans in on it. But, a lot of people ask, before you guys do, there was absolutely no plan on that.
Right.
Like, there wasn't, like, the night before, they weren't like, hey, we're going to try to grab both of you guys. Like, literally the first I'd ever even heard about the Jays was at the 13th pick when Jordan called me.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, they mentioned that they want you, should be calling you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so my whole, like, just, like, I'm like, what? Like, I'm zeroed in on, like, late first round comp area. Like, the Cleveland really liked me. They had 2 picks there. And I was, like, really looking in that area. And I was like, well, I don't see the Jays anywhere in here. So, I don't know how that's going to work. But, obviously, if you would have told me before the draft, like, hey, you're going to go in the 3rd round and you're going to end up taking it and skipping school, I would have told you were high. But
right. No, like I heard that you had a chance to go to college and then you decided to go pro. What was that decision like?
Right. I mean, obviously I'm not super old, but the biggest decision of my life, I mean, because it was like here, I know you guys are familiar, but it's in Texas and in the South especially, like, college baseball, college sports in general, college baseball and college football in the South is a huge deal.
Oh yeah.
And so, and I was at the time, I was committed to arguably the best organization, like the best. I say organization like it's pro ball, the best like system, the best baseball team, arguably that you could top 3 for sure. And they had 5 consecutive College World Series appearances, which is the most by any team. But the funny thing is they have never won a College World Series still to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like really wanting to be a part of that. And we had, the name Shane Boz. He is.
I think I've heard of that.
He is. He was a first rounder with the Pirates. Got traded to the Rays, and he's from my area.
Okay.
And he was committed to TCU also.
Yeah.
And so they lost him, and then. If he would have gone and if I would have gone and they had a couple other really high pick guys that like they would have a stupid team.
Right.
But, and that's, things kind of fell off the wagon. They lost a couple of their high draft picks to the pros and, unfortunately that's just the way it goes. But, that decision was crazy. I mean, I had probably 30 people at my house. Jordan was actually here at my house by the time that decision was being made. And the decision was actually made on the first day at night. Like, the draft was over, I think, for the first 2 rounds, or it was like in the second, like almost over.
Mm-hmm.
And we just went back and forth on it, and I just made the decision, and Jordan's like, was going back and forth, and Jordan's like, dude, like, do what you want to do, like, do what you think's best for you, but like, this is gonna be sick.
Yeah.
I didn't really know, obviously, at the time, but now looking back at it, like, I mean, us having each other was...
Well, it's got to be huge.
Just huge going into I mean, we were both 17, or I was 17, he was 18, and, you know, we got drafted on a Tuesday, and we were in Florida at the training facility by Friday.
Holy
and
shit.
And it was like, school had just ended. I just got back from the Bahamas, my, like, senior trip. Like, I went from being a kid to like, a millionaire 17-year-old, like, overnight.
Yeah, man. Like your head must have been absolutely spinning at that point, dude.
You know, and I was like, man, you know, obviously at the time, you know, like it really didn't, you know, it took. I think for me, I don't know what Jordan would say, but it took like 8 months to a year for it to like settle.
Really sink in.
You know, like it, because it happened, and I was, you know, it's been something I've been wanting to do since I was 4. So like, and I'm a confident guy. Like I was checking all the right boxes. I was performing well for the last 6 years. You know, when it really kind of counts. Like I was just expecting it almost.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So when it happened, it was like, all right, well, let's go play. You know, like I wasn't really like grasping like, you know, the opportunity. You know, like the percentage of 17-year-olds with that much money is actually lower than the percentage of 2 high schoolers that go to the same team.
Oh.
So it's like, I was just like, to me, it was just wild. And so then, like, whenever we got there, you know, we ended up rooming together. We had each other, you know, like, whenever we were kind of really didn't know what was going on, we'd be like, hey, bro, do you have any clue what's going on? Because like, you know, we always had, you know, and him and I are both outgoing people, you know, we make friends easily, but it's like we both just had that comfort and that like kind of checkpoint back with each other. And then obviously we're in a less than desirable hotel down there, and you know, it's just a grind, man. Just like me and him, the grind, and just like being able to talk about at night, like, hey, you know, do you have any idea what's going on here? Like, what time do we need to be there tomorrow? Or, you know,
like coach is whack right now. Like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, he'd be like, yo, like, what time we gotta be at the field tomorrow? And I'm like, he didn't read the schedule, and I did, so I could just be like, yo, this time, you know, like,
bro, you are now a couple years removed from that whole decision, from, you know, both of you doing that. Give me the fucking rundown. Like, was this the right choice? Like, how has it been so far for you? You know, like, what are like your plans moving forward? Like, all of it, man. Like, so tell me about these last couple of years.
Man, so obviously, you know, when we got there, I was like a chicken with my head cut off. Like I was a kid. When it came down to it, like, I was very mature for my age, but for what I was going into, it was a challenge. And it was like, there was days where I literally didn't do anything. Like, I was doing everything that I was asked, but I just didn't accomplish anything. Like, I would lift, but I was like, just kind of zoomed out, like, just talking to people.
Like in autopilot right now.
Yeah, like, and then, like, you know, they had shut me down from throwing. So I didn't really have any, you know, I didn't have any of that either. So it was like, then, you know, Aaron Sanchez comes down with his finger, Tulo's down there with his heel or whatever the hell he was dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like one day I just walk in the training room and they're both sitting there. And I'm like,
what was that like? Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, for starters, like, two of some of the best people I've ever met, those 2 guys.
Cool. Yeah.
And especially when it comes to, you know, paying it forward, you know, so to speak. You know, obviously Aaron Sanchez is a normal big leaguer, you know, and it's like he's had a couple good years, you know, he's battling, you know, that kind of thing.
Agreed. Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying.
But Tulo, you know, I mean, I didn't get to see him play a bunch because I was younger. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like, I'm assuming that's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, like same with us. I think we're around, like, similar age, like, you know, us. And, like, Tulo, well, I knew him just at the end of his career with Toronto. Mm-hmm. And, like, the guy holds himself like to such a standard, like a high professional standard. Like, did you get a sense of that?
So it was just like I go in and, you know, Tula was obviously a little more big league. He had like I don't want to call him his assistant, but like basically a guy that would hit him ground balls, throw him BP, you know, get his bats, you know, like
someone specifically like working with him. But I think
they were boys. Like I don't think it was like his little butt.
Right. No, yeah.
But you know, so I go in there and Sanchez is there, and I was shitting myself. Like, I was like, the last thing I'm gonna do is go up to this guy and like introduce myself. Like,
oh no, just kind of like what do your thing about him.
Care. So you know, of course, when you see someone like that, you know, which obviously Aaron Sanchez is not like the god that I, you know, like running into LeBron James or something.
Sure,
like that.
yeah.
Like, to me, it was at that time.
Of course, man. This is a big leaguer.
Where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, this is literally like 2 weeks after we got there. Like this way, like I still was new. Like
Jeez.
Barely even, I had met over 200 people. Like it was so much going on.
Yeah.
And so he kind of pulls me aside one day because I kind of got a little closer to him, like physically, like in the training room. And I was like, man, like I'm going to try to at least like introduce myself and like see if this guy, you know, like, because I've heard like a lot about some guys, you know, that get to the big leagues and they forget about everybody else and stuff like that. So I was like, well, you know, this guy's a starter in the big leagues, you know, like I'll just see what that's about. So like we just started talking. We actually ended up like talked in the training room for like 45 minutes. And he was like, look, man, he's like you probably don't know this, but he's like everybody here knows who you are, and everybody in the show knows about you and Jordan.
Oh,
nice! Wow, how'd that feel hearing that?
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, okay,
all right.
Oh, really? I was like, all right. He's like, man, he's like, dude, I got drafted at 17. You know, got a couple, you know, 7 figures coming. You know, a little high school kid coming out of California. He's like, I've played in every level of the minor leagues that the Blue Jays has. Like, he's like, I'm just like, I'm seeing myself right now. And he's like, so he's like, let me get your number. And I'm like, yo, this is like
nice.
This is like a big leaguer asking me.
Big leaguer wants my number? You want me?
Yeah, I'm like, all right. So I get his number, and he's like, look, dude. He's like, I know you guys aren't doing shit. So after the game, or after you guys leave here, I don't remember if it was that night or the next night, but it was like within the next couple days. And let's go get dinner. And I was like,
nice.
And I'm not like, I wasn't totally naive. I knew dinner meant like dinner.
Yeah.
And so he's like, dude, bring Jordan. And he's like, I just want to talk to you guys. Like, he's like, you know, I want to, you know, see what you guys are about.
Yeah.
And, you know, I
want
to help you guys as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's,
wow.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, that's awesome.
He's an awesome guy. Man.
Jordan wasn't even there when that happened. So I told Jordan about it, and Jordan's like, you know, because Jordan's a position player. So he's like, well, who's that? And I'm like, yeah, man, like,
oh yeah, Jordan doesn't know much about the Blue Jays.
Yeah. So it's just like, we get back to the hotel, you know, like we do whatever, and he's like, I'm like, hey, let's go over to his crib, and then we'll go get something to eat or whatever. So we go to Kobe Japanese Steakhouse, which is basically like hibachi, and that was the first time I'd ever been there. I've been there at least 75 times since. It's fire, and it's right down the street from the hotel. But so we go there, and he's like, this is one of my favorite spots. Like, we'll go. And it was so cool. Like, we walked in, and it was like, you know, these are all Japanese people. Like, I mean, there's like one white person in the whole thing. And we walk in, and they're all like waving to him and like, hey, and like, I could, you know, he told us he went there a lot, and he wasn't lying.
Yeah.
And so we get there, and I'm like, I'm a pretty observant guy, and I was like, I just wanted to see, like, because that's, I mean, I want that to be me, you know what I mean? So I want to see like.
Well, it sounds like it is you if you've been there 75 times since.
Yeah, well, he turned Jordan and I on to that. I mean, we probably go there like 2 or 3 times a month, you know, because it's like it's expensive, but we get breakfast and lunch like for free at the field. So at the field we get fed. So it's like, well, I mean, if we'd had 3 meals today, we would have paid this much anyway. So you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's great food. So
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's my math.
That works for us.
So then we, you know, we're eating and stuff, and it's like he knows the chef that comes out, and like they don't even ask him his orders. You know, like he already knows what he wants.
Yeah.
So we order, you know, and they start doing our stuff, and then like he didn't drink or anything like that. Like, you know, it was like he was in rehab, like he was grinding. You know what I mean? And the thing that sucks about it is like it was his finger, like a little blip, like a blister that turned into a wild like deal on his finger. So it wasn't like he was out there on crutches or something, you know.
No.
So we go back. He's like, hey, he's like, you know, you guys come stay at my place, like, you know, we can just. Baseball was on, you know, it was in the middle of the summer. He's like, we'll watch some ball. We'll just shoot the shit, and you know, we'll hang out, and you guys can stay at my place. Like I'm by myself, like whatever. And I'm like. Okay, so we're having a sleepover with a big leaguer. Like, all right. So we get back to his place, and he's got this like little like, oh yeah, and then like when they bring the ticket and stuff, like he tips them really well, and like, you know, everyone when he leaves, open the door for him damn near. And
so I'm hearing how Aaron Sanchez is just like the most elite human being of all time right now.
Most considerate man.
Yeah. So then it was like, you know, and it was just like, it just kind of showed me, because, you know, like, I mean, like we said, you know, like, and I love Aaron, but you know, he's not a rock star, you know, but it's like the way you treat people is like, he was kind of teaching us that too. He's like, yo, you treat people well and people find out who you are. He's like, I promise you, you're never gonna be, you know, mad for the way you treat, you know, when you treat someone well. He's like, they're gonna like you. You're gonna get better service, you know, all those kind of things, which is all stuff that I kind of knew, but you know, it's just like he just kind of reiterated that to us. So then when we get home, he's like, all right, boys, like, he's like, kind of tells us his track like to the big leagues and like all that, and tells us he's like, man, never worry about like how you're doing in the minor leagues, like. He's like, that there's no really rhyme or reason to when they move you up, you know what I mean? He's like, I was in low A and I was like 6-0 at the break with like a 1.7 and I didn't get called up. And then he was like, the next year I'm in high A and I'm like 4-8 at the break with like a 5.5, and he's like, I get called up to Double A. So he's like, it's just like, don't always worry about how you're doing, blah blah. And so we're like. I'm like, all right, you know, that's cool. So suck to get to the big leagues, basically saying it, like, all right. So then, like, and the funny thing is, so then we get back to his house, and like he goes in his room and changes, and he comes out. He's got like a little townhouse, and it's like super sick inside, but like the outside's like old because everything's old around where the spring training facility is, and so it's like super nice. Like this couch was like ridiculous, like huge couch. And we have this like 5,000-inch TV that we're watching baseball on.
Oh my
he
God.
goes in his room and he like puts on leggings, and like that's all he had on. It was just leggings.
You're like, hold up, what is this
so
right
this
now?
comfortable?
He comes back out and he's got like 5 things in his hand, like a Theragun, a massage ball, like a foam roller, like band, like he's got all kinds of shit. And I'm like,
and you're thinking to yourself, okay, wait a second. You took me out to dinner. You brought me back to your place. You're coming out with all these things right now with no shirt on. Where are we going right now?
This is where the story is going.
So then he had like a whole section in his little townhome, because his fiance at the time, wife now, was in Toronto, and so it was just him. And he had this whole little section of the house, like, and he had like rubber mats down for like that would be like in a gym, and he had like all kinds of stuff over there, and it was just like the whole time we're talking, he's like doing the like Theragun, like in his legs, on his calves, ankles, arms, chest, like back, like. But we're talking, like we're shooting the shit, but he's doing all this stuff. Yeah. And then like almost every guy that would come up to the plate when I don't remember what game we were watching, but almost every guy would come up, he'd be like, yeah, like he's like, I've never gotten that guy out. And then the next guy would come up and be like, dude, this guy right here is terrible. And then like next guy come up and he'd be like, I don't know what it is, but like I've walked this guy 6 times, I've faced him 8 times. Or like it was just like, and then he'd be like, yo, this guy right here, like we ended up going out with him one time and he spent $25,000 at the club. Or whatever. he was just like telling us like all these cool like, and you know, it's like where I'm watching people on TV and the guy sitting next to me is talking about facing these guys, with them, or hanging out with them after the game and stuff. And I'm like, man, like this is the life.
This is where I am headed. This is my trajectory.
So he's taking care of his body for like 2 hours, and then I ended up asking him. I'm like, hey, like what do you what do you think, as far as like, I know some of these like LeBron and stuff, it's like they spend an ungodly amount of money, like on their body, like massage, trainers, workout gyms, different, all kinds of stuff. And he's like, dude, he's like, I've got a nice car, I've got 2 houses, and he's like, we've got a fiance who costs a lot of money. And he's like, I haven't spent as much money on all of those things put together that I've spent on my body.
Right.
And he was like, dude, I have, like, he had a massage table like folded up against the wall in where that little room was. And I was like, is that a massage table? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, they're like this, like, now I know like one of the best massage therapists in Tampa, in Florida probably. She like works with their hockey team. She works with all these athletes. And she comes to the house. He don't go to her. She comes to him. And, which is not minor league pay type stuff. But it's just like all this, it's just, he's basically saying, he's like, everything you do during the day when you're not at the field, if it's not making you better, in some way, shape, or form, he's like, then you're wasting time on whatever you're doing. Like if you're eating, it needs to be something healthy. It's like obviously there's times for that, but it's like 90% of the time needs to be something good you're putting in your body, because he was like, food isn't for your taste, it's fuel for your body, blah blah blah. And so he's like, if you're a Lamborghini, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, and so did you, like, right now, obviously, we're running an off season where, like, we got baseball coming back in a while. Like, what have you been doing, bro? Like, preparing yourself for upcoming the stuff.
Yeah. So, obviously, my first year I didn't really do anything. I threw like 2 innings. Second year, I went into extended spring training, which was god awful. Then I went to Vancouver, which was super sick.
Oh yeah, how was that?
I loved Vancouver. The fans were great. The city. We were playing in like it used to be a AAA city.
Yeah.
So like we were in prime time, like for a low A team, and it's actually like pretty common, like among like most of anybody in the minor leagues and any organization that's ever played at that stadium, saying that that's the best place to play in all of the minor leagues, like AAA all the way down.
Wow.
Like that's the most fun spot. And I can tell you it's a good time. But the funny part is when we would go down into like Washington, Oregon, like all, it's awful. So you felt, you just could not wait to get home.
Right.
And the teams couldn't wait to come play us because we had such, in the stadium is old. Like it's not like the stadium's super nice or anything.
Right.
It's like they would.
Was it just the fans? Like the fans were great over there?
Yeah, they would sell that place out on a Wednesday at noon.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
I'm like, yo, do you guys not have jobs over here?
Seriously.
So opening day there was crazy. I got the opening day start, and that's most people probably that I'd ever pitch in front of, especially that were fans. Like I pitched in some of these big showcases, I had a bunch of people at them, but like no one was really paying attention or cared really how I did.
Right.
Whereas like here is like there were 6,500 people cheering for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was just like in us, and it was the first game, and it's a half season, so they've been waiting for a lot longer than other minor league teams have to wait. And it was just like, I'm used to whenever I'm about to pitch it being really quiet, you know, and like, you know, everyone's like, kind of like when you hit a golf shot, you know, like everyone. Yeah. And I was on the mound ready to throw the first pitch, and like, it's like a buzz of like people talking. And I'm like, it kind of took me, I'll never forget how it made me feel. I was like, yo, like, are these people like not paying attention? And the first pitch I throw an inside fastball to this Latin guy, and he hits it like 600 feet foul. And I was like, all right, well, they're coming out hacking.
Yeah.
I strike the first two guys out on 6 pitches, and the place is going bonkers.
Wow.
And it was, I mean, and then after that, obviously I got used to it, but it was just so cool, you know, like seeing that fan base. They're so, I mean, because we were an average team. Like we won some and lost some, and they sold out the opening day, and they sold out our last game.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were there all the time, and they're hammered. Like there's local breweries right around there.
Oh,
and so
man.
they are really big on that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And I mean, especially on Sundays, it'd be like half price beer. It's, oh my God.
Oh man,
people would just go nuts.
Man, the moment you get to the Rogers Center, man, they have these deals like these $5 beers. People go crazy for those. We go crazy.
Yeah, if you ever hear two absolute like wasted idiots coming from the 500 section, that's probably us.
Yeah. So Vancouver was really fun. I'm looking to go back there just kind of on vacation because it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, man.
And then, you know, obviously this year with all this going on, I had a really good spring training. I felt really good. And was, you know, ready to rock, ready to go into Lansing, hopefully for a short amount of time. And then, you know, obviously all this kind of stuff happened. But,
right.
You know, it was a Thursday. I threw live, like normal day, Thursday. Thursday night, we start hearing about this COVID thing. Call my agent, and I'm like, hey, you know, like, because there's rumors going around about things shutting down. And I'm like, yo, this is a lot. Like, what do you mean things shutting down? My agent's like, look, it's a possibility. He's like, you know, keep doing your thing, but he's like, it's a possibility. Friday comes, we don't do anything. We have a meeting about it, like an hour and a half long meeting about it. Everybody's washing their hands. Everybody's getting questioned about their family history and all kinds of stuff.
Jeez.
And then by Saturday morning, Jordan and I were on the road headed home.
Wow.
And so literally from Thursday night to Saturday morning, it was like that. And I was like, man, they were like, yeah, they're going to shut us down for the weekend. That's what the meeting was about on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then by Friday night, it was like, hey, you guys are good to go. You know, we'll let you know when you're coming back.
Yeah.
You know, and it was pretty crazy, you know, like all this stuff. So, but then, you know, when I got home, it was like Jordan and I looked at each other. It's like, man, you know, this isn't a vacation. Like, you know, we're going to lose here at the end of this. So, like, and we were also thinking it was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks long.
Right.
So maybe a month. So we're still going, you know, balls to walls. And it was just, you know, obviously we're still here.
Right.
But it was just like, it was pretty nuts. I threw live out there. I never stopped throwing, like never stopped working out. And I was throwing live out there. I was ticking my velo up short, like in small increments in spring training. And then it kept ticking up like all the way to 99 when I got home. And 96 was the highest I'd ever hit. And that was like twice. And so it was just like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to do anything different.
Right. Don't change that.
But it was just like, kind of took me off guard. And so, you know, I kept doing that thing. And then we had this league out here that Roger Clemens actually started up.
The Constellation Energy League, is that it?
Yeah. So we played in that. We played 30 games in that. I had a couple outings in there. Did okay. I mean, I would have been in low A, high A this year, and there was not one guy in that league that was in high A. Like, wow. It was big leaguers, AAA and AA guys. So I was really like, and I was 19 when that was going, like when it started, I was 19. I'm 20 now, but I was 19 when it started, and the next oldest guy in the whole league was 24.
Wow.
So like, I was way in over my head, but obviously I wasn't thinking that way.
Mm-mm.
And so I'm talking to these, you know, these are ex-big leaguers or guys that are trying to get back to the big leagues and all that kind of stuff. And I learned a lot, you know, like we only played 30 games, and I learned way more in 30 games than I probably would have learned playing in low A this year. So you know, it was just like, you know, really just how bad walks are, how important strike one is, and how hard hitting is. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know, I would give you know, I'd face some guy who I'd seen play on TV, and I'd be like, man, you know, like, this guy's nasty. Well, he's obviously not that good if he's not in the big leagues right now. So, like, just go out.
Yeah. You trust your stuff, bro.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're 19. You haven't even played in a full season yet. You got nothing to lose.
Right.
So, you know, that I definitely got better as it went on. Walks were a little high just because I was trying to hit, you know,
like pinpoint,
hit a quarter, and it was like, you know, it's like just make guys prove to you that they can hit it, and once they do, then we can start nitpicking. But you know, I learned some good things in that. But you know, since that was a good time. It was a little normal, kind of. You know, like we went to the field like we normally would, and we had a game that ended at 11 o'clock like we normally would, and go eat fast food after like you normally would. But it was a little interesting because it was only like an hour from my house.
Wow. Damn. Okay.
So it was a little odd, being that like my home was right down the street, which I'm not used to. I mean, Jesus, I was in Vancouver.
Yeah, straight up, bro.
Yeah, it was cool, but now, I mean, I'm shutting down throwing for probably about 6 weeks, and I've been training a lot. It's just like now it's normal. I would be home right now normally.
Yeah.
So it's cool, you know, back in the gym. I train with a ton of pro guys. So that's cool to see everyone back. Some of the big leaguers that we have are coming back. You know, a lot of guys, you know, we have some that made their debut this year because this set a record this year for debut.
Yeah, right.
Okay. You just touched on something that I want to talk about because we talked to Jordan about it, and we asked him. We said, Jordan, your debut, when you think you're gonna be, you know, coming up? And I don't remember the exact quotation. I am ad-libbing, but it was pretty bloody close to this. I think he said, "Fuck the MLB pipeline." Fuck all those things that are telling me it's going to be 2022. It is going to be next year. So, my friend, I pose the question to you. Are we also saying fuck the MLB pipeline? Or when can we expect to be buying Kloffenstein jerseys for the Blue Jays?
I would echo the pipeline statement, but I think he's being a hitter and being that third base is open.
Yeah.
I think he's got a better shot at it. That's my dog, and I think that he's going to play a long time. I think the business side of it is going to hold him back from making it next year. I think I would say if I had to guess on him, I love the enthusiasm. I don't think if he made it up next year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, me either.
I do think that he hasn't played a game. This next April will be his first game, really will be 2 years since he's played in a real game.
That's true.
You know, he played in the 60-man stuff and he lit that up. So that's kind of the energy that fuck the pipeline comes from. He lit that up, and those were supposed to be like some of our best arms.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, my goal coming up this year is really just hopefully there's nothing in my way. You know, so it's like there's no short season, any of that. Like, start in Dunedin in high A and just full throttle.
Full throttle, bro.
See where I end up. The goal is to be up sometime next year or the year after next. I would love to be up next year, obviously. I think that I could compete. But I think that waiting another, 3 to 4 months of playing time, obviously it'd be like almost a whole year on calendar. But as far as the season, like if I think maybe in July I could make it up, I think I would rather, I know those game checks are a little different, but I think I would rather dominate, say AA if I was there, and then go big league camp and have a chance to break with the team in 2022
Right.
and be like 100% confident that I belong there, and not like two good outings in AA, September call up, pennant race, I think, and I think that the Jays think that way too. And I know they do because they've told me that they want higher prospects to be confident wherever they go. They're not just going to send a guy shooting up through the ranks, after he has a couple good outings. So I think that Jordan has a better shot than I do. I think that the pitching that we got up there, I'm optimistic about. Obviously, for me personally, it's a little better if they don't do well.
Right. Yeah, it's basically like an audition, like even with the bullpen in that like last half rotation is like auditioning.
Hey brother, we got some questionable spots right now.
Yeah,
right?
We got some
that's the thing is like I think Pearson is got some some kinks to figure out, but he's definitely going to be a solid guy. I don't know where he'll end up. I've been saying, and Pearson and I are great friends, but I think he'll end up out of the pen in some form or fashion. I think he's got. I don't know. It's tough.
From Aaron Sanchez, like he came up. They tried him out a little bit starting, wasn't working, put him back in the pen, and then really found his stuff there in 2015, and then got moved to to a starting rotation spot.
Right.
So
I think that for Pearson, I think for him it's really going to be. I know he wants to be a starter, but I just think that he shows some flashes of really, dominant stuff.
Yeah.
But I do question sometimes how he can go 6 innings with 3 pitches. And sometimes 2 pitches.
Right.
Sometimes 1.5, depending on the day. And he can blow through 6 batters in 2 innings.
Sure.
But, it's a little different when because they're studying the starter days before the game. They're not necessarily studying some guy coming out of the pen. So, I have always wanted to be a starter. I want to be a starter. I think I have potential to do that. I think that Manoah is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Him and I are good friends too. And, obviously I played with him in Vancouver some. Love him. We have similar personalities, similar stuff.
Right.
Similar mentality on the mound. I think him and I is going to be a fight for that. Simeon Woods, my buddy, lives down the street.
Yeah.
Does he fucking actually? What do they put in the water over there, bro? Like, are they just
Texas,
breeding you guys?
Simeon lives about 45 minutes from me.
Jesus.
So I think that fans have a ton to look forward to when it comes to pitching. I think hitting, it's already showing itself.
Yeah.
And I think that team is going to be, I think you say come like 2024.
Yeah.
You have a solid, because by then you've got a Bichette that's almost going into more vet stage than he is rookie.
Yeah.
You've got and hopefully he's still there. You've got some other guys there that I think they've got some older guys there that I think they're just trying to fill the spot until some of these younger guys come up.
Yeah.
I haven't got to play or meet much with Austin Martin. Jordan says he's good. Jordan says he's a cool dude. I think he's interesting to me because I think that, first of all, I think it's a wild pick.
Right.
We've got more shortstops than some farm systems have.
Oh
yeah, right?
We do.
He's more of a utility guy from what I hear.
Yeah.
I hear all I know is watching the draft after the first round, these, expert commentators or whatever are saying that the Jays got the steal of the draft.
Yeah, that was the headline.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
So I don't know if there's something about him that I have a couple boys. You know, I'm boys with Kumar Rocker, goes to Vanderbilt, and I talked to him about it some. We have Phil Clark who caught at Vanderbilt, and I'm like, not questioning if he's good or not. Is he the steal of the draft? And guys are like, man, dude, this guy is just a pure hitter. Yeah. And I'm like, pure hitter will get you a long way in this game nowadays. So obviously adding another, and I'm assuming he's a versatile hitter, kind of like a Bichette. So I think that, I don't know if you guys talked to Jordan about this. I know it gets him a little wound up. I think Jordan has potential to play shortstop in the big leagues for most teams, but I don't think it's this one.
Because you already have Bo Bichette there.
I can't wait to cut that clip, just that clip, and send that straight to him. No context.
I've told him that. I think that, and he knows, he gets it.
Yeah.
I've never told him like, yo, I think Bo Bichette's way better than you are.
Right.
But the facts is I don't know if Jordan would even get a shot.
Yeah.
And the other point is I think Jordan would be a lot better third baseman than Bichette.
Right.
Jordan's got a bazooka for an arm. He's taller than Bichette. He's more built to play third.
Yeah.
I hope they don't stick him at first. But with the height we got at first base, we need somebody over there that's tall enough, like Rowdy's does pretty well around the bag.
Yeah, he does.
He is not a first baseman.
No, I mean that was the story of our podcast. Literally all throughout the season was like, is he ready for first? I don't know.
Yeah, no. Vladdy's got to work a little bit defensively, and he's
and I think Vladdy is a lot of things that people still forget is Vladdy's 20.
Yeah, literally.
21, but it's like. The pressure that he's had over the past since he was born, really, because of his dad.
Yeah, it's a fucking spotlight on him all times.
Yeah,
it's a magnifying glass.
Coming up out of the minor leagues, talking about him being like LeBron and like he's like the best hitter the minor leagues have ever seen and all this stuff. It's just he's gonna have to settle in.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that this team is going to have – I'm hoping that we don't start trading up some good prospects or good players away. But, I think that – and I hold my breath every time a big pitcher is on the as a free agent because, obviously – I want us to be good, but I want to be the number one starter.
Right.
And it's it's also something that I also love a good challenge. I think that the challenge is going to be there with if Pearson's still there, Manoah, Semi, and me. I think that if your fourth starter or is someone like one of those four guys,
you're doing pretty well.
Have a really good staff. And with a pitching rotation that's not giving up a ton of runs and a lineup that's dropping bombs all the time, I think that's a good recipe.
I hope that you got space on those fingers, my friend,
for
because
rings.
Yeah, they're coming soon. They're coming soon, pal.
I'm all in on that.
Man, we can't wait for your come up, man, whether it be next year or more comfortably in 2022. Like this whole team is just literally a slow cooking like stew, like of real high potential. Seriously. And we're super excited.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of organizations that might look at their stack coming up and say that, but I've played against some of those teams and I haven't seen them. So, I think that especially just with, we're talking 2023 or so when everybody has a full year together. That's still, 2 more years from now of growth growth and getting better and work and all that. So
yeah,
I really do think that this team has a high ceiling.
For sure, brother. Okay, Adam Kloff. The fuck was I about to say?
What was Adam?
Yeah, me. I have one job, and it's to call you Kloff. Are we running out of storage on our camera right now? Is that
it's still rolling. I think I have about 5 minutes left on it.
Okay, so in that case, I got one more question for you. I posed this one to Jordan the other day. It's very quick question.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're on a plane right now. I really want you to picture this. You're on a plane right now. You're waking up from a little nap, brother. You look out the window. Oh, what's that? It's a family of seagulls. Maybe they're migrating. Oh wait, the baby seagull, it's starting to fall behind. Like into the fucking router, bro. Plane is like, it's bursting, it's on fire now, you're going down. Like, oh god, like I wake up now, I'm on the beach, I got sand in my hair, all of my friends and teammates are downed, they're drowned and dead.
This wasn't a story.
We're improvising right now, we're improvising. Okay, so you're on this fucking island right now. You have food, you got water, you're allowed to get two things. Two things. What are the two things, brother?
You say I have food and water?
You have food, you got water.
And I'm on the ocean.
You're like you're on an island, you're on a deserted island.
Yeah.
Shelter, I guess.
Yeah.
And probably... Is there any women on this island?
You can have it if you want. It's your genie that popped out of the bottle.
Probably,
get you some shelter and some girls?
Some kind of shelter, and you'd have to make, I would think a fire would maybe put off some smoke that, like, you're there.
Oh, okay.
With honorable mention being a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
you and Jordan, I guess you guys are like very, analytical, like for the stuff thinkers, because he said a radio and a boat. And you went shelter and fire. So
radio in the boat, go in the ocean, contact someone,
Yeah. Well, that's like a little too easy, Like, I want a fucking cruise ship. I'm okay. Well, Yacht and Kylie Jenner.
No, you're committing to the bit, bro. You're going fire and shelter.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. It was a freaking pleasure talking to you today. You had so much lovely things to say. I know for sure that whenever you do get brought up, we would love to take you to the Torontonian version of the Korean steakhouse or whatever the fuck that you guys go to.
I am down for that.
Yeah, man. We look forward to it, brother. Thank you for coming on. It was awesome. You got anything to say to the man?
Nah, man. Hey, bro. Like, just keep killing it out there, man. Man, throw 99, hit 100, command that fastball, dominate.
Yeah, we hope to see you on the show soon, man.
All right.
I appreciate you guys. I look forward to that dinner.
Let's do it, brother.
Well, we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Right.
Take care, man. So that was Bro.
What?
Bro? Yeah, I called him Bro, man.
Kloff. Who the hell are you talking about?
It's Bro.
Wow.
That was one of the names. That was one of the options he gave me.
That's true. He did give that option. He gave you Bro, Kloff. I think there was something else too.
There was I don't know why my gut said I want to say Kloffy.
He 100% did not say.
No. Kloffy. Because always like Mitchie, like for hockey, it's like Kloffy.
Kloffy, dog. Oh my god, man, that is actually really funny. Oh, okay. I guess we'll have to watch it back.
No, he didn't say it. I made that up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that was awesome. Though.
Great stories about Aaron Sanchez.
Seriously, I guess I take for granted like how small sometimes I guess that baseball community is.
Yeah, right.
But clearly, like it is a tight knit group, and you know, he's saying like, all of these prospects too, like Manoah, like Woods Richardson, like Pearson, obviously Pearson and Grosh. You know, like they're all buddies and they're all pals, and like
that's a good development. You know, that's what I want like a team to be.
Well, you know what I mean, and maybe they do this anyways, but I think that it's a great team building chemistry for all of these younger guys to just, you know, get together, not in COVID times, I guess, but, you know, get together and just get absolutely obliterated. And then, you know, like we go and we work on practice, and but now we have that chemistry. We got that camaraderie, you know?
You bond when you're almost blackout.
Well, and here's the thing too, is like how, like, now he's always going to have that memory, that time of Aaron Sanchez. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what his career is going to look like, but you know, if he ever was to play with Aaron Sanchez, you know, there would be that connection of, you brought me over to your home when I was, you know, like just a young kid, and invited me into your life, and that's fucking dope.
Awesome. You know, good on Aaron Sanchez leaving his mark on the organization. Like
seriously, that. And also too, just another thing about our boy Coffee. I was just thinking about coffee again. Yeah, just another thing. Like, I guess like these Texas boys, man. They have a confidence about them.
Oh yeah, they
play
ball.
have a confidence that I like.
One time when my brother was playing for Team Ontario and went to Texas, like they're all like, first of all, they're all really good, all of them.
Yeah.
But no, they play ball, they play hard, and they're confident, and that's what you need to be confident as a big league.
Yeah, I gotta say, brother, I am freaking stoked,
absolutely,
for some of these guys that we have coming up, man, and you know, and like. This is an exciting team.
It's a pot brewing, and like next year is only just, it's like a slow rise.
Yeah, like when you consider that we have this extra wave of rookies, you know, we thought we had the wave.
Oh, it's not
in 2019 with, you know, Vlad and Bo.
That's the hitting wave.
Yeah,
you know, the hitting wave. Like, they were still going.
But now it's like we also have all these other guys that we're talking about, you know, and it's clear that this guy, he wants to be a major league starting pitcher. And when he's telling us that, you know, he's just now hitting 99, yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, please.
We're gonna get these guys.
I want to have that.
We're gonna get, and the thing is, like, they're not like little guys. They're pretty tall stature guys that throw high velocity. You know.
Also, did you see the fucking chest on that man?
Oh, he pumps on.
You see the fucking, like, every time he was like scratching his head, I just saw like these fucking veins on this guy's arm.
That guy's whipping a ball in your direction.
Yeah, no. This is why I sit and drink beers.
That's why I'm drinking beers, watching,
and comment about it, and I don't
be like, I have an opinion.
Literally, like I know dick about anything right now.
But it was awesome. It was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed like the last week we've had with these prospects. We've had a really good time having them on the show.
Yeah, it's been super great.
Man. Hopefully we get some more on, like Manoah, Woods Richardson. You know, like see what those guys are saying.
Yeah, seriously, guys. If you like this, then leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about some of the prospects that we have coming up. Maybe a couple other prospects that you want us to reach out to and see if we can have on the show. We always love to hear that.
Yeah,
also, please make sure to check us out on Spotify, Breaker, Anchor, Radio Public, and Google Podcasts. I've gotten so fucking good at that now.
I haven't said it in, I think, in a little bit.
Really? Yeah, do you want to just give it a try?
Okay. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, and Breaker. I stumbled a bit there.
It's a work in progress. Also, make sure to check us out on our Instagram.
Yes. And thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays, go.